People who face northeast do not read the map. Here we have a bunch of definitions for the word globe. These definitions were collected from different sources and just put together. So it says globe, a spherical representation of the earth or of the constellations with a map on the surface. 2, globe, a sphere on which a map of the world or the heavens is drawn or represented. 3, globe, a sphere on which a map, especially of the earth, is represented. 4, a sphere on which is depicted a map of the earth, terrestrial globe. 5, globe, a round object with a map of the earth drawn on it, etc. People who face northeast have disgraced themselves not for any faulty math, but because they seemingly do not know how to read a map. Meaning, all that spherical trigonometry stuff they did, inshallah, is correct. I mean, brothers who know how to do that, they told me the math is correct. But they don't know how to read a map, or they don't want to read the map. This lack of simple and universal knowledge makes non-Muslims who know of this northeast mistake chuckle at these Muslims facing northeast. Some do not even know what is a map and what is not, because they say that the globe is not a map. As one said, more than one said, and again, a globe is not a map. They are two completely different things. More than one of them said, maps are flat, the earth is round. This is abominable ignorance. This is ignorance of people who did not pay attention in grade school. This information is not high school, and it's not college, not undergrad, not grad level. This is grade school information. This is middle school, junior high, 7th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade information. That means 10 years old, 11, 12 years old. You should know that in Western education at least. It's as if he is saying that there are no maps of the earth. When he says maps are flat, the earth is round, it's like he's saying there's no map of the earth. Let them tell this to an elementary school teacher and see her reaction. To that embarrassing confession of ignorance or arrogance, you may say, 1, if the globe is not a map, why does it have latitude and longitude lines on it? And then wait for an answer. Let him answer your question. If he says, globe is not a map, say, why are these lines on here? Why does it have latitude and longitude on it? And then wait for an answer. 2, if every map is flat, then what's the point of calling a map that's not a globe a flat map? Why should I call this map a flat map if it would not be any other way? Then it's just enough to call it a map. But it's called a flat map as opposed to a globe. So the essence of their mistake is that they looked at the globe not as a map, but as a mere ball. If this is not blindness and stubbornness, then it can only be an extremely deformed ignorance that causes blindness. For some of them, it's blindness and stubbornness. And for some of them, it's pure ignorance. They don't know any better. This is the situation that Muslims have reached today. They say, the earth is not flat. Therefore, we need a globe to truly express the issue. Then they pull a string from New York to Mecca and say, look how the string goes northeast. If the listener does not know how to read a map, he would easily accept. If he knows how to read a map, then he would say, wait, the string is turning. It's going from northeast to east, then to southeast, and that is not an unchanging direction. It's turning. It's It's not a straight line. The person who faces northeast would easily ignore that point as if it is the babble of a child and justify his northeast argument by saying, it's not changing actually. Look at it from the top and see that it is a straight line, the shortest distance from New York to Mecca. And this talk here, look at it from the top, we're going to take a look at that and see, inshallah. Why does he say look at it from the top? We'll see. Unfortunately, for many people, they have denied their own eyes. And despite seeing the line change directions, and perhaps even after knowing how to read a map, they believe that it is an unchanging direction because of looking from the top, that is, from the northern view. This will only take place for the one who does not look at the globe like a map. Whoever reads it as a map will be unable to accept. It is very important to understand here that we are not citing maps to verify southeast. As we said before, the map itself is not the religious standard for knowing the Qibla. We talked about how we know that Mecca is south of us by using the North Star. So not by using the map, but by the North Star. And I'm not saying maps are not useful. Maps are very useful. The Qibla is verified by the religiously recognized signs. It is the map that must comply with the Qibla references, not the other way around. It's not that the Qibla references have to comply with the map. The map has to comply with the Qibla references. They referred to a map to prove the northeastern Qibla, a globe. That's the map they use to prove their northeastern Qibla. However, they do not read it. They don't read that map as a map is read. They merely use it as a ball only. It is this notion that we are attacking. Their misinterpretation of the globe. We are not saying that maps are the evidence of the southeast Qibla. However, no map contradicts the southeast Qibla. There is no map that contradicts this point. In their minds, the person is traveling forward and therefore is maintaining one constant direction until reaching Mecca. Refute this claim by reminding the person about the directions. There are two sets of directions: the fixed, unmoving cardinal directions, north, east, south, and west, and the 6 alternating relative directions: over, below, ahead, behind, right, and left. Tell him that your line that you drew over the ball, that you're not reading as a map, definitely changes. It's not one straight line. It changes both cardinal and relative direction. It goes from northeast to east to southeast, so it changes cardinal directions. And it doesn't just go forward only without changing directions. It actually turns right because it represents a right turn. So it doesn't merely go forward. It's definitely changing directions. So your claim of an unchanging direction is false. If you are going forward, you would be going forward into one of those 4 cardinal directions. Therefore, had you gone forward east without changing that direction to go backwards west, while keeping the constant direction of forward east, you are still going from side to side, from north then south. So they're going northeast, continually going forward east, but turning right, meaning going to the side so that they get out of northeast until they're facing east, and continually going to the right until they get out of east and go into southeast. This is crystal clear, dubious, beyond uncertainty, and cannot be denied without astounding an intelligent person's mind, yet they deny it. Contradicting that makes the school children laugh. Really, it does. That talk of northeast, if you teach it to some school children, school-age children who are learning how to read maps, teach that northeast stuff to those school children and they will laugh at it. I've tested it. I've done it already several times. So contradicting that fact that we just talked about makes the school children laugh, but they contradicted. One of them said, you do realize that the pilot is continuing in the same direction he started out, right? That northeastern direction. He never steers right. He never steers left. And you know what happens? He ends up in Mecca. I say, this is proof enough. Just like if I was in Mecca and could see the Kaaba from a mile away. If I was to walk straight, never turning to the right, never turning to the left, I would walk straight, smack dab into the Kaaba. The reality is the pilot is going straight. This southern direction you say he's going is the result of the Earth's shape, a reality we don't ignore. Look how this person ignored or did not realize the fact that north and south are two opposite directions. Oh, you who faces the north to face the south? Who said that one can change cardinal directions without changing relative directions? Who said you can go from north to south without getting out of your relative directions? If you're going forward, that's a relative direction. Ahead, forward, in front, that's a relative direction. And it happens that while you're going forward, you're going north. Who told you that? Well, somebody told you. So why did you accept that you could be going forward north and continually going forward and never diverge from that, not go to the right nor go to the left and wind up south? If one is facing east, the north is to his left and the south is to his right. Silly rabbit. Going from northeast to southeast requires a right turn. And there we have that image again, second time or third time, because it's useful. Okay? So again, here's the sky above us. The sky is over our heads. Here's the sun setting into the west. You're in the east, looking into the west, and to your right is the north, and to your left is the south. That white arrow is what they claim is a straight line. That's them going from New York, going northeast, 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 then eventually going east, 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 and then eventually going southeast, southeast, southeast. Their claim of going from northeast to southeast without turning, by merely going forward only. This is wrong. And remember, why does he think that's a straight line? Because subconsciously he's imagining north as up. Subconsciously he's imagining north as up. I'll go ahead and flip the image again. So here, when you look, you see that this is the way, or closer to the way they usually see it. You know, the sun is there on the side, and the North Pole is up, and the South is down. So they see themselves going northeast, 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 then east, 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 then southeast, southeast, southeast. They think they're going in a straight line without turning. They're only going forward. This is why they think they're going forward without going right or left. But this is a delusion or an illusion. It's imagination. Because really, like we said before, the sky is above our heads. And we see the horizon from side to side. When we look into the horizon, it goes from side to side. Doesn't go up and down. We don't perceive a tilted earth. So there they are, they're making a right turn. So to avoid this imposition, he may come up with a number of tricks. He may invent a new way to define direction. So he say, well, see, a direction is actually, and then he makes something up. Or he would restrict all directions to only one direction. When he argues with you and you impose this on him, then he might say, well, all that matters is that you go forward. But even in reality, we understand clearly now that he's not going forward. Right? He's turning. For that, he says, the direction of facing of something is such that it's right in front of us. Were we to walk straight, we'd reach it. The key that eradicates this fallacy and renders him in opposition with his own definition is the word straight. If straight means without going to the left or the right, then we ask, who said that one can go forward eastbound, for example, and change cardinal directions from north to south without changing relative directions left to right? It means if someone's going east, all right, this arrow's coming towards us. It's going east. However, it's starting northeast. It's going east, but it's going north, north, northeast. Then eventually it becomes east, 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 and then eventually turns to southeast. So we're saying this is not straight. That's not a straight line. So who said that you can go forward eastbound? So if you're going forward and you're walking east and you're going forward, and change cardinal directions from north to south without changing relative directions left to right. He's basically saying you can walk straight going east, for example, and you can go north and south while going east without going left or right. Did you understand that? There's 4 directions: north, east, south, and west. They cross each other. North and south are in between east and west. So if a person's going east, forward, how would he go north or south without going left or right? Essentially, what they're claiming by saying that this is a straight line, that this arc goes northeast, then east, then southeast, they're claiming that a person could go east because east is the only constant direction, right? Northeast, east, southeast. So he's going east, forward, going east, and going from northeast to southeast without going left or right. That's their claim. Was that clear? They're claiming that a person can go forward east and go from northeast to southeast without going left or right. He may negate that cardinal directions are relevant. But if cardinal directions are irrelevant, then why is his line called northeast? So what else? How else may he try to get out of this imposition that we put him in? This corner that we backed him into? He might say, those cardinal directions aren't relative. All that matters is forward. Tell him, then why did you call your line northeast? Why don't you say my Qibla is forward? Why are you saying your Qibla is northeast if cardinal directions are irrelevant? 3, he may introduce the fallacy of direction versus bearing. He will say northeast is the direction, but southeast is the bearing. Upon that, you can ask, A, who said that bearing is relevant in the issue of the Qibla? But remember, though, that references and hadiths are all irrelevant to them. However, you may insist on the reference because they are very relevant in reality. You said, and people have to learn what bearings are according to them. Yes, Then also they're saying that we need to learn for the Qibla what does bearing mean? Who said so? If he says, well, what, you don't want to learn? Islam is all about knowledge. You tell him there's religious knowledge that we need to learn. There's also worldly knowledge. This religious knowledge, who said that you need to know about bearings for the Qibla? So that's why some of them say the Qibla is not a religious issue. Many of them say that. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Many of them say the Qibla is not a religious issue because it's just the issue of facing directions. To this point, they're so stubborn to face northeast that they say that. If it's not a religious issue, why did Allah command us to do it in the Quran for the validity of the prayer? And why is it in the books of fiqh if it's not a religious issue? B, is southeast a direction or not? Ask him, is southeast a direction or is not a direction? If he says yes, it's a direction, then he contradicted himself. Why? How did he contradict himself? If he says yes, southeast is a direction, ask him, is southeast a direction? Yes or no? If he says yes, it's a direction, tell him, then why did you just now say it's not? You said northeast is the direction and southeast is the bearing. So the only direction that we're concerned with here is northeast, and that you're not actually changing direction. And you said southeast is the bearing. Now I'm asking you, is southeast a direction? You said yes. So is it a direction or it's not a direction? Of course it's a direction. You went from northeast, then to southeast, so you turned. You don't have a straight line. If he says no, southeast is not a direction, then he exposed himself as an ignoramus. Because saying that southeast is not a direction is unheard of. He's just doing that because he doesn't want to lose a debate. So many times, some people, they don't want to lose a debate, so they let really stupid things come out of their mouths. I respect one who at least shut his mouth in a debate. The one who at least stops talking, he shuts his mouth when he's cornered. Because this means he understands. And he's not so stubborn that he just keep talking. Unless sometimes maybe he is that stubborn, but he's so stupefied by the answer he just can't think of something to say. Insist on a yes or a no answer. He will most likely refuse to answer. If you ask him, is here at this point in this issue that we're talking about now, if you ask him, is southeast the direction? He will probably refuse to answer your question in the first place. That's most likely. These answers of theirs are a result of not actually reading the map, and all of this effort on their part is to avoid confessing to a mistake. They don't want to admit that they were wrong. They are like a person who only looks at the pictures in a book without reading the words, and then misinterprets the pictures because of not reading. One does not read the book either because he does not know how or because he does not want to. This is why they discuss the Qibla with any round object. This is how we know that they're not reading the map. Because they discuss the Qibla with any round object. Any ball, any fruit, an orange, an apple, a balled up piece of paper. Anything that's round, they use it to discuss the Qibla. From here, you can know that they are not using the globe as a map. They're only using it as a ball. This is why they discuss the Qibla with any round object, but they reject any map that is not a globe. If the map is not a globe, they don't want it. And if an object is round, they want it. Because it's not a matter of reading the map properly. Reading the map is not their concern, even if it is on a sphere. And this is why they ignore the latitude and longitude coordinates that prove that Mecca is southeast of the USA. Whether on a globe or a flat map, it's the same latitude and longitude coordinates. If you know how to read a map, then you can read the flat map and you can read the globe and you can see they come to the same answer, that Mecca is southeast of the United States and Canada. This is why they ignore the latitude and longitude coordinates that prove that Mecca is southeast of the USA, whether on a globe or a flat map, and this is why the issue makes sense in their minds. They imagined the string that they pulled over the globe as one direction because they saw a line from point A to point B over a mere ball. They saw a line from point A to point B over a mere ball. And they said, look, straight line. Here's the line. Put an X here, put an X here, put a string from here to there. And that's a straight line. That's their reasoning in this issue.